YouTube, and welcome back to the second annual Golden Green Ranger Presents Positive Podcasting.
Second episode. Annual would be second year.
Second annual, because I feel it in my heart. Anyway, first off, thanks for the response to the first video. I didn't think we would do that well, so okay. Very nice of you.
Go team, go.
Second off, I have a little bit of water on my shirt, so that's why there's a little thing there. It's driving me crazy. And third, welcome back. It's me, the Golden Green Ranger, here with my wife, also known as Captain Planet now, apparently, because that's the name she decided to go with, not me. That was her choice. Now, last week, I'm not going to explain every week what we're going to talk about, so I'm not going to go over where we went last week, but it was something about to relax about people not liking what you like and vice versa. But this week, I wanted to talk about something near and dear to my heart, or at least something that I think I might have an opinion on. And I'm not saying I'm right, not saying I'm wrong, I'm just saying I have an opinion. And the question I present today, and I'm going to allow you to talk first, if you'd like, for once, because I never stop. Are franchises going on too long? And should all franchise start with the idea of eventually having an end game? Like knowing when the franchise should end eventually. Like if we're going to start a show or a movie franchise, I know exactly where I want to go. So that was my question, and I leave it off to you.
That was a lot of different questions asked in very different ways.
It's the same question.
It's not. So, yes and no. I appreciate when movies and shows have an end and they have something that they're going toward, and that's where they end it. An example, it's not a movie, the TV show Supernatural is supposed to end at season 5 or season 6, and you can tell because then the next season I couldn't get through. And I looked it up, and it's because it was supposed to end a season earlier, but money. With that being said, if they had an end for Power Rangers, let's say, we wouldn't have it 20. How many years later? 25 years later?
30.
We wouldn't
30
have it 30
year.
years later if they had an end game and they stuck to it. So, to answer your question, it depends. I think it also depends on the storylines. Like if you're thinking the Marvel movies, for example, or the Marvel shows, maybe they have an end game for these specific characters, but there are so many characters that I feel like it could go on for a long time and could do well. The same thing for DC or other stuff. I think if you have the characters and you have the story there, go for it. The issue is when there's no story and you're in it for the pay, then that becomes not as good.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, isn't everything about money? It's like, they don't make these Marvel movies, because they're like, I really want to get to the heart of these characters. It's like, oh, money. This prints money. Okay, that makes Disney didn't buy Marvel because they were like, let's bring the world together. They're like, oh, it's money. I want that, so give it to me. Okay. So here's my problem. I hear your points, and they're all valid, by the way. You look good. I like your lipstick that you had to put on before we recorded.
This is why nobody likes you.
What? It's facts that not happen. My issue is sometimes things go too long, and then it starts to destroy the story that was there in the first place. So I do think all franchises should have an end game in mind. Marvel reference. And I think they kind of should stick to that. For the example is, I do think Marvel should have ended at Endgame. That was the logical ending to that franchise. And I know some people say, oh, well, that was the finishing story of, the first Avengers, like Captain America and Iron Man. But it's but it really isn't. I mean, except for Black Widow. She didn't make it. But we got her movie afterwards. But Thor's story has continued after that. Hulk's story has continued after that. And at some point, when are these characters going to become parodies of what they started out as? Which is kind of where Thor and Hawk have become anyway. You know, parodies of themselves. They're not even the original characters they started out to begin with.
Are you saying Hulk with like how he's pushing She-Hulk? How is his story continued? He doesn't have his own movie.
Well, yeah, because Universal is not going to have his own movie. But his story's been continued. Showed up in Shang-Chi. He's in She-Hulk. Obviously, he's going to be in Secret Invasion with him on the spaceship in She-Hulk. Spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't watched She-Hulk, sorry. So his story has continued after Endgame, is what I'm saying, in some capacity.
Yeah, but the stories aren't about him. It would make sense that he's in the stories because it's in that world.
Yeah, but I'm still saying the Hulk we have in She-Hulk and probably going to get in Secret Invasion or wherever the story goes with him is not the same Hulk from the first Avengers movie.
Oh, yeah, he's grown and has become a better Hulk.
Better Hulk, better
Person.
character. Well,
he's evolved. It's been 20 years.
The whole idea, and Smart Hulk is in the comics. You have Gray Hulk from the comics. I do get that, but to me, the best version of Hulk has always been that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde split personality, and I do think Marvel got that down perfect with Hulk not considering himself Bruce Banner, and vice versa, seeing that in Thor Ragnarok where he says, I don't, how much he hates Banner. But that's not what we're getting right now. Now we have Smart Hulk, and since they kind of wrote themselves in the corner at the end of Endgame, that's kind of where the story has progressed since then. So no, I mean, I don't have a problem with She-Hulk if that's what you're trying to get to. Jeez, attacking me. But I do think that, I think it would have been a great, like, can you imagine the franchise starts off with I Am Iron Man to end with I Am Iron Man? That would be awesome. Like, what an end. And when you continue after that, you can kind of tarnish what you had come before it. And that's my worry. Like, there has been other Marvel movies I haven't liked even before Endgame, but Endgame was like, that was one of those Marvel movies I was like, man, that was really good. Like, I had to give Marvel credit. That was amazing. And what a way to end it with, the I Am Iron Man and the snap. And it was like, wow. And every movie kind of led up to Thanos, so it felt that way. So my issue is, what are they going to do now? Now we got to go to another big bad. Now we got, what's that new bad guy? The purple time traveler. Come on, help me out.
I have no idea.
Well, you guys know. Anyway, it's like he's going to be the big bad, and then he's going to get defeated, and these movies are going to continue. And it's like, how many times? It reminds me of the actual comics where it's like it gets ridiculous how many times New York gets invaded and the end of the world happens. And there's a reason why DC Comics continuously reboots itself, because it's like, how many times is Batman going to face these same villains? All right, it's time for a reboot. And it's been done properly where they've started a huge comic franchise and ended it. And that's the DC Animated Universe. It started with Flashpoint and ended with Justice League Dark. And was it Justice League Dark Apocalypse? Something like that. Anyway, but that ended the story. And it was, that was a good, I think it was like a 10-year version of animated films that were all in the same continuity. So it's just, that's my opinion. Also, it reminds me of Arrow. You ever watch Arrow?
Most of it. When T-Dog came on, I couldn't.
I thought it was Mad Dog.
I don't know. No, he had a big T on his face.
Oh, Mr. Terrific.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
He referred to himself as T-Dog a few times, or somebody referred to him as T-Dog.
That is stupid. But that was my issue with Arrow. Arrow, I think,
too much.
Had a lot of legs in the beginning, and I feel like the show really peaked, and this is just my opinion, at the League of Shadows. The heck is that?
My ticket to Hogwarts for platform 9 3/4.
Gotcha. I feel like the show really peaked then, but then it's
That's
chopsticks.
not what it was.
But every season after that was just the same. Oh, the city was invaded, and it's like, by this point, move. I don't even feel bad for you anymore. Like you're like, that's it. I get it. People are gonna, and I've always heard, it's not that easy. And like when you watch scary movies and people are like, why didn't you move out of the house? And it's like, well, because I poured a bunch of money into this house and we're kind of broke and it's not that easy. And I do get that. We're homeowners and I understand that. But at the same time, your city has been invaded like 6 times. You tried.
How are they going to sell?
Figure it out, man.
There's no way. You know how your property value.
The show has had this like Oliver Queen do that, like, this is my city. Like so many times it got to the point where it's like, I can't watch it because the show did not have an end game. And then what ended up happening? It got canceled. And they had to like rush to an ending. And that's my fear. It's like eventually you become a parody of yourself. You're not what you started out to be in. Perfect example was a show that had a beginning and end and they knew where they were going. Gravity Falls.
That was a good show.
What did you just say?
It was a great show, but I was really sad when it ended.
But it knew when its logical ending point was.
I think it's an emotional thing. Like, I can agree with you. I like it when the show has an ending and they stick to it and they get that ending and it's great. I'll give you that. But emotionally, I'm usually not ready to give up on these characters yet and to be done with them.
The issue is eventually, when you have to write new things for your characters, you're going to get your character to start acting out of character, is my issue. Prime example would be Lost. I don't know if you ever watched it. Getting lost, as they used to say. They knew they wanted the show to open on Jack's eye opening, and they knew the show wanted to end on Jack's eye closing, but they didn't know how they were going to get there. So that show took so many twists and turns. My nose started bleeding at one point. I was, I can't. It's just so. And no, they weren't all dead. I hate when I hear people say that. They were dead the whole time. No, they weren't. Didn't get the show. So that's my issue. And
I didn't get the show. I found it confusing, and I didn't like it.
You're confusing.
I like the dog.
I don't think, and here's my other issue with them staying in the same continuity of Marvel films. And I don't get me wrong, because I like stuff. I like Shang-Chi.
That was a good movie.
I like Spider-Man No Way Home.
Is that the last one that just came out?
Yeah.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, I like that one. I liked, I didn't mind Eternals like everybody else did online.
I thought that was a good movie.
I thought it was okay.
I enjoyed it.
My issue is I'm never going to get to see another, for a long time, at least for a while, we'll never get to see another actor's idea or spin on Tony Stark. You know what I mean?
Because it'll always be
Robert Downey
Jr.
And I hear people all the time, well, like, oh, well, that's my actor. Like, I don't want to see anybody else play him. And it's like, could you imagine if that's what we stuck with everything? Like, Adam West is the only Batman. I don't ever want to see anybody else play him. And
He's a good Batman.
Yeah, then we got Michael Keaton, who did a great job. Then we got Val Kilmer, who I really like, by the way. And I know Batman Forever gets some crap, but, like, it's a good movie. Go rewatch it. George Clooney. We all have one bad. Okay. Christian Bale, who brought something new to it. Ben Affleck, who's to this day my favorite actor to play Batman. Robert Pattinson as emo Batman. I'm all jokes aside, I did like the Batman. But it was like, can you imagine if we didn't do that? Like, never. There's so many different ideas and different ways to play the character. Rob Pattinson looked at other actors and how they played it. That's how he determined how he was going to do it. And it's like, are you like, no? You don't want any other actor to touch another character?
I think about that with Harry Potter, the Harry Potter movies. I have a hard time placing any of the actors and actresses.
Maybe we'll get a skinnier Snape this time.
Yeah, but beyond that, Alan Rickman was it. Besides, he was not sallow, not skinny.
Not sallow, yeah.
Not gaunt.
I do want to say one thing, though, that I did not agree with what you were saying, because you try to use it, and I'm like, that is a good example, but it's not at the same time. So you said, unlike it, like if there was an end game, we wouldn't have 30 years of Power Rangers. And I see where you were going with that. However, I'm going to use Power Rangers on the opposite side of that. After Power Rangers Turbo and Power Rangers in Space, which was meant to be the ending of the show, by the way.
Meant to be, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. Okay. However, after that, every season has kind of rebooted itself afterwards with new cast of characters, new powers, new villain, and they end that series. Like the very next season, which was Lost Galaxy, had a beginning and an end. And then after that was Lightspeed Rescue, which had a beginning and an end. Like they defeated their villain. That show's ended. It's rare for them to have for Rangers to go on to another season, and if they do, it's usually just like a team up episode. And I like that about the franchise now because how many times can somebody just continue to go through this versus in the Power Ranger universe, it's just a bunch of different Power Ranger teams going all over places in different cities dealing with different things. That's kind of like the comic book universe. Like Spider-Man's got New York, and I was going to say Batman, like he's in Batman's DC. I'm not going to piss anybody off, but reframe. Batman's in Gotham. Superman's in Metropolis. Arrow's in Star City. Like these are that's the kind of idea I have with Power Rangers. So, and anyway, Power Rangers reboots itself constantly every season. It's the same continuity, like it's the same universe, but it's a new team every single season now, except for this new one coming up. Now to end it off, they're gonna use the same actors from the previous season and the same characters. I'm okay with that though. So
I'm currently reading a book series that, as of right now, has only 63 books in it. Only because it can go on forevermore, and I'm sad that the next book doesn't come out until November, and I have to wait for the book after that. So, I don't think that this author has an end game, but maybe she does. I'll keep reading.
I don't mind if
but it can keep going. There are lots of different characters.
I don't mind if franchises pick up years later and tell another story. That bothers you?
Oh, the book I'm reading, it takes place the whole series takes place in a couple days.
I don't know.
5 years.
I just worry that things are going to turn to parodies of themselves. And it'll be kind of silly and ridiculous. But that's neither here or there. I also am just kind of like franchised out by this point. I'm like, oh, there's another franchise I got to keep up with now, and how many movies are in their continuity and all this stuff. But at the same time, I'll continue to watch Marvel movies, so I'm part of the problem. You know what I mean? I'll continue to watch DC movies. I'm part of the problem. So
I think of it it's like watching a sitcom. I like it.
Like watching a sitcom. I like it.
Go longer. I like it.
I will say this though. I do love seeing new directors and new actors and everybody take on characters that we know, to see a new version of that character, because you don't know what you like until you see it. And I'm also a very simple man. Like I hear people all the time, like when Michael Bay did those Ninja Turtle movies, and I heard grown people around me going, "It's ruining my childhood," and I'm like, yeah, there's people that were born in concentration camps. I think you're going to be okay that Michael Bay's doing a turtle movie.
I liked his movies.
Yeah, but the point being is I've always been a very simple man, and if something doesn't look appealing to me, I do this really, really weird thing. I don't see it.
No, you mean you don't just go and complain about it?
Yeah, no,
that'll listen.
Yeah, it's a new thing I've tried. It's like, oh, that movie didn't look good, and then I go on with my life. It's really fun. I don't know if you guys want to try it. It's really neat. But that's just my opinion. So there it is. All right, so it's about that time. Unless you got anything else you want to say. Your legs are so nice, by the way. This, smooth too. Unless you have anything you wanted to add.
No.
Okay.
My stomach's hungry. My stomach's rumbling. I'm hungry.
Hungry for what? Hungry for words? Woo! That's what we do. That's what we do. All right. So the question I present today for you is, ready? You didn't do a drum roll or anything?
Oh.
Thank you so much.
It was enthusiastic.
Yeah, it was all right.
I didn't know you were talking to me.
Yes. Should married couples have friends of the opposite sex?
Together?
No, as in you have a bunch of male friends and I have a bunch of female friends.
But you do have female friends.
I know, that's what just save it for the video. Do you think it's appropriate?
Yes, I should rephrase. You have female friend.
I don't have I have a female friend.
Okay. I said I rephrased it. Yeah. Female friend.
I've known since I was 12.
Oh yeah, no, I love her. I'm not upset by it.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho.
Anyway, do you think it's appropriate?
No.
Any particular reason why, or just no?
No, I don't think it's appropriate. I think you can be couple friends. I think you can have friends of the opposite gender as a couple. But, like, I'm not going to go and hang out with any of my male friends, or our male friends, I should say. Because if someone sees, they'll be like, oh, she was getting friendly. And, like...
That's the only reason?
It's just not appropriate.
That's our alarm. I agree. I agree with you. I do think it's okay to be friendly. Like I don't think, and I think it's okay. I do think there's a respect boundary where it's like you're the woman in my life, besides our daughter, obviously. And I'm not talking about the cat, our actual daughter.
The guinea pig?
No, not the guinea pig, our actual daughter. The one that I was gonna say has our last name, but technically the pets probably have our last name.
They sure do.
But
the human one.
I do think there is a respect there. Like I wouldn't be comfortable being like, oh, well, let's hand out. Let me hand out with the opposite sex. I do think, but that's very my parents' mentality. My mom has always been like, you spend time with your wife. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. Okay, and if you have free time, you spend time with your friends, but it better not be female friends you're spending time with. That's kind of that mentality I've had. And the older I've gotten, the more I do like, I just like sitting with you. You know what I mean? And I what do they call it online now? A simp?
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
I don't think that doesn't sound right.
I don't know. I've heard it like if like a guys are sensitive or something, it's like a simp. But either way, like I do have friends that get mad at me and they're like, hey man, you didn't text me back. And I was like, I'm home with like my kids and my wife. Like, why would I? Like, what? I like you guys the best. So why would I? I'm like, oh, let me stop spending time with like my actual wife and children to respond back to a text about Mega Man. Let me do that. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been that guy with my phone in my hand constantly. And I still won't be. And I'm not trying to be on like my high horse. It's just like, when I'm home, I'm home. Like, we watch TV together. We do a video together. I chase her around and I tickle her. And then she says, stop tickling me. And I say, I'm not tickling you. I'm touching you in a way to make you laugh. And then she gets really mad. So, all right. Well, it sounds like we solved it. We did it.
Yeah. I think that it if people are able, it just it could put you into a bad light.
A bad light or an uncomfortable situation or a bad situation. You're absolutely right.
And it could eventually cause mistrust if they're like, oh, I see your wife out with this dude all the time, or I see your man out with this chick all the time. It's just not appropriate.
I agree.
We also, because of our work schedules and stuff, I did the numbers on it, and I spend more time commuting to and from work than we get to spend together in a whole week.
Wow.
So.
But we're always in bed around the same time.
Because I go to bed stupid early, and you just suck it up and come with me.
And we always read before bed.
That's
all
true.
Right.
Couple that reads together stays together.
Yes.
Or something.
Anyway, if you like what you heard here, and hopefully you did because you made it all the way to the end, please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends. Tell your friends, tell your cousin. Why are you always slapping my hand?
Why do you always have your hand in front of
Because this is what I do, all right? This is my microphone.
You mumble.
You mumble, okay? You mumble. All right, you mumble. All right, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell your coworkers' families to watch this channel. And as always, may the power protect you.
Peace out.